Hi and welcome back to Tales from Tech Support, I don't work here lady. In today's episode, I kinda work here, doesn't mean I can help though. One each way. Classmate mistakes me as working in the park, begins to disclose fetishes. Not wearing a mask in Germany with a friend who lives with me since the pandemic started because of circumstances with his house apparently means violating the law. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I kinda work here, doesn't mean I can help though. I work as a security officer/door greeter at a huge retailer. When I'm working, I have to stand at the door and check receipts, mark returns, and of course, greet customers. In this the years of our Lord 2020 and 2021, that has shifted to counting customers and handing out masks. I don't have any major stories. But I have a few snippets, though I'm not sure if some of them are exactly IDWHL. Important information to include: I wear a security uniform complete with a policey style badge, and it's a completely different color than anything the store associates wear. Pretty early on, when I didn't know the store super well, I got a lot of questions about where items in the store were. Of course, having just started and being stationed exclusively at the front door, I was unable to help much. I tried to point people in the right direction usually, but that was about it. Then, one day as I'm marking a ton of returns, due to some incidents we were told that we needed to mark every single item being returned rather than just marking how many returns the customer had. I felt a tap on the shoulder. I turned to see this older lady who seems to have been waiting. I tell her, "I'm almost done with these returns, then I can try to help you." I turn back to the return lady and keep writing down UPCs and stickering items. I get another tap with an ahem. I repeat the thing I said before and keep going. I have like 2 things left. The lady taps me again and says, "I need you to show me where the bedding is." I turn and point real quick to the area of the store it's in and tell her it's over there. I finish up the stickers and the return lady leaves. I turn to find the old lady still there. I say, "Is there something else I can help with?" "Yes. I need you to take me to the bedding." I reply, "I'm sorry. I'm security and I have to stay up here at the front." She huffs and says something like, "Well, I need you to take me cause I won't be able to find it on my own." I was really puzzled by this because I had already directed her in the right direction, and there was a big sign above it that literally said bedding. So I responded in kind and pointed again, saying it's right under that sign that says bedding. "I can't leave the front, so if you need more help you'll need to find someone back there that can help." She just huffed again and walked off. Later on, I had been put in garden some time later, and I'm standing by the door out there. The only people by the door at the time were me and a cashier who was always really quiet. He smiled and nodded a bit, but he was so quiet I had to wonder if he spoke at all, or if he spoke a different language or something. He was a nice enough guy, but certainly not a conversationalist is the main point there. Some lady came from inside the store and walked right up to me with purpose in her step. She says, "I'm looking for a certain weed killer. Can you help me find it?" I respond by saying I'm not really sure where it is, but I think it's on the inside aisles of the garden center. I can try to call a garden center employee to help. She said, "Why don't you know where it is?" To this I reply, "I'm just security, ma'am. I don't work for the store." She huffed loudly and walked over to the cashier. He wouldn't have known either. He was just a front-end guy who got stuck back here. But she didn't ask him about that. She pointed at me and loudly said, "What does that guy even do here?" When she got little or no response, she just stormed off. Lastly, we had this manager, for this I'll call him Ken. He had a habit of pulling associates off their own jobs to help him with whatever he needed help with. His classic line was, "Well, you look like you could use something to do. How about you do blank?" Most associates would listen to Ken even when it meant abandoning their own jobs they had been told to do by other managers because he was just below the store manager on the hierarchy. When I was out in garden, he would try to get me to move pallets all the time. I had heard other associates complain about him, so even though I honestly would have loved moving pallets while it was late and super slow, I always refused. He was always annoyed and cited that I wasn't doing anything else anyway, but he knew he couldn't touch me. It always made my day when he got all annoyed because of my response, "Sorry sir, I'm here to guard the door. I can't go abandoning my post or AP will have me removed." I would then watch Ken move the pallets himself because he couldn't organize his own guys to do it before they went home, all the while listening to a podcast in my ear and doing absolutely nothing. One each way. This happened first thing this morning, and I've been laughing to myself about it all day. Couldn't wait to get home and post here. For context, I do distribution for a local publishing company. In a nutshell, I drive around to a couple dozen stores, drop off this week's newspapers, collect the unsold from last week, write up an invoice for the amount sold, hand it to the store employee, and I'm out the door. I love this job in my own car most of the day, with my own music, in my own clothes, on my own schedule, with limited interactions with people. After 10 plus years on the front lines of retail, I really enjoy being on the other side of the supply chain. I've been delivering for 4 years now, but today was my first IDWHL experience, and it turned into 2 in a matter of seconds, with vastly different reactions. So today I was sporting a pair of pretty obnoxious leggings with a space pattern in shades of pink, purple, and blue, a big fuzzy pink hoodie, and a pink beanie with a pom-pom on top. And my face mask, which is Rasta colors with my favorite band's logo across the front. I was at one of the pharmacies on my route, a chain with dark blue polo shirts as the uniform. I was doing my thing by the little newsstand on the far side of the checkout counter, when a guy approached me and asked, "Hey, can you tell me if that sale on Pepsi is still going on?" I stood up from where I was squatting and faced him, said, "Oh, I don't know, actually, I don't work here. I work for, publisher, I'm just dropping off the new paper name." He busted out laughing, said, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I actually used to work for, publisher, back in the day. I should have realized, I'm so sorry." I laughed too, said it was no big deal, and we both started walking toward the checkout, which is roughly 10 feet away, still laughing about the misunderstanding, and I said I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen more often with how many stores I'm in and out of all day. There was a lady standing at the checkout, looking like the textbook definition of cranky old lady. Worn-out quilted housecoat that she probably got from the Sears catalog in 1950, nose hanging over a dirty paper mask, scowly eyebrows. She turned and looked right at me, and in a snotty tone said finally, "Break time over now? Tell your boyfriend to leave so you can get back to work." This made the guy laugh again, and before I could say anything, he said she doesn't work here, and the lady jerked her head to glare at him. She said, "You stay out of this." Her head jerked back to me and she barked, "You get back to work." The evil glare and the way she snapped her head from me to him and back to me made me think of that scene in the original Carrie where she was lighting people on fire with her mind, lol. I started to tell her that I really don't work there and she exploded, "Ring me up now," literally slapping her hand on the counter with each word. At her outburst, the little office/counting room door behind the counter opened and Jay, the employee I always deal with there on Thursdays, popped out, apologized to the lady, said he didn't see her step up, and he'd ring her out right away. I think he assumed she was yelling at him. He saw me with the invoice in my hand and said, "Oh, hi, Ami, you can just leave that there," and motioned to the unused register. I slid the invoice under the plexiglass and in the most cheerful voice I could muster, said, "Thanks, Jay. See you next week," and I turned and winked at the old lady before heading to the door. This set off the guy behind her laughing again. I think he blew snot all over the inside of his mask with a sudden snort laugh, caught himself, and his shoulders were shaking up and down as he tried to hold it back. I gave him a little wave and was on my way. I really hope she didn't turn her rage on Jay after I left, and if she did, I hope my not boyfriend stood up for him the way he tried to stand up for me. Classmate mistakes me as working in the park, begins to disclose fetishes. I was studying in the park by my house this afternoon when a cute guy around my age, wearing a sweatshirt from my college, sat down directly next to me. Thought that was kind of odd, especially during a global pandemic, so kind of scooched in the other direction. But then he started talking, and he was like, "So. Hi, I'm Jose." All stutter why and not making eye contact and everything. I thought it was so sweet that he was this nervous to talk to me, so I took the bait and said, "Oh, well, hi, I'm Tamira." And he says, "Oh. That's a really pretty name. I never would have guessed that would be your name." There was a long awkward pause as I tried to think what I could say in response to that, and he goes, "So, how about a walk? Around the park?" I thought that's really gutsy to ask, but you know what, I kind of like that. So I said sure and packed up my books and off we went. I figured it was middle of the day, surrounded by other people, so worst case scenario I could always ditch him if things felt shady. So we were walking, and he was making more nervous small talk. I was telling him some stuff about my interests and background, asking him about his. He was like, "Wow, I didn't expect you to actually tell me so much about yourself." Wasn't sure how to feel about that, but alright. He's like, should I tell you a little more about me then? Because it is almost 3 p.m. I figured maybe he had to go somewhere by 3 o'clock, and I'd missed him mentioning it. So I was like, "Sure, tell me everything I should know about you." Figuring the whole experience to this point was like a fairy book or sitcom, so I should just keep rolling with it. But then he says, "Maybe we should have this conversation at your place." Oh. I thought asking me, a total stranger, to stop what I was doing and take a walk with him was gutsy. But I thought what he just said was sleazy. At best. I kind of nervously chuckled as I looked for non-confrontational outs to the situation and said, "Ahaha, we're definitely not going to my place." He says, "Oh. Okay. Sure, fine. I didn't mean where you live necessarily, I just meant the place, wherever it is we're going. I'm sure you've got something all worked out. Anyways, I can start telling you. Oh. About myself now, sure." He was kind of looking around to see if other people were listening, and he goes, "See, I'm really more of an ass kind of guy. I have a major spanking fetish. So if you've got any short skirts or how what? What WHAAAAT? Forget the non-confrontational exit, I instinctively went, "Stop. This conversation is over." And turned to hightail it into the nearest store. No shame at all if this is what you enjoy. It was a red flag for the stranger who'd picked me up in the park to be so forward about his sexual desires, regardless of what they were. The guy is running after me going, "Wait, what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. The ad said you were cool with kinks and stuff, I just thought. Wow, I'm sorry. Alright, that slowed me down. I'm thinking, did he just say ad?" He stopped near me now, catching his breath, going. "Again, I'm so sorry, and look, this may not be the best time to ask this, but am I still gonna be charged? Like for the full time? Even if you're leaving?" So, it took a second to figure out, but to make a long story short, this poor guy was experiencing a touch of pandemic loneliness, so went and hired a call girl off some personal section online. She'd told him she'd be there in the park wearing an identical graphic tee to mine, and we apparently have very similar features because she described the same height, build, hair, and eye color to mine. Once we got everything worked out, he was especially apologetic and begged me not to speak of the encounter ever again in case we know anyone in common. I'm going to do my best to keep that promise. So instead I'm posting about it under the cloak of internet anonymity, because oh my god, I just had to tell someone. I definitely didn't work there, man. Not wearing a mask in Germany with a friend who lives with me since the pandemic started because of circumstances with his house apparently means violating the law. So first, for some backstory, I live with a 20-year-old friend since the pandemic started because of circumstances to his house. Note, please don't ask publicly what happened to his house. If you want to know, private message me, as I don't want to tell it here for the concern of people worrying too much. It's not too serious, but you can't live in the house long term because of it. He came to me about a month before the pandemic came to Germany, and lived with me since he runs a small local grocery store, and I help out in the store every now and then without needing to wear a mask around him because we technically live in the same household, and his shop is private property, and he is the only one I was with. ATM, we do have to wear our mask when we are not the only two people in the shop because of law. So now for the story. It was January 11th. I helped him out before he opened, and did not wear a mask because I was only with him in the store. I restocked the last of the remaining shelves before opening, so that I could open. His shop assistant, who would normally do the job I did today, was sick, so I did it so he would not have to wake up too early. After that was done, we opened after we put our masks on, and I was about to go away for the day doing my businessman, asking him if there is anything he still needs before I go. He says no, when let's call her Ms. Blondie, the German way of saying Karen, but let's short her to MS. B comes in demanding for us to get her, I think, 100 apples, not entirely sure, it was super specific, something around 100, calling me to handle it for her. I say that for that she needs to speak to the cashier for that and go further away to the back door, which leads to the back staff parking where my car is parked. I went about 15 meters before I felt something grabbing on my clothes and turn around. It was MS. B demanding the 100 apples again. I repeat myself. Then she went into full rage mode, saying how I was violating the law because I did not wear a mask around my friend, and how I would get fired and go to jail for not wearing a mask around the person I live with. Just so you know, again, you don't need to wear a mask around a person that you live with in the same household. I explain myself. Then she calls my friend, to which she said, I know your boss, and if you don't follow my commands, as she said, he and me would get fired, at which point I said no, oh please don't fire me from a job I don't work at, while laughing, at which point she demanded my boss's phone number. At this point I should probably let you know that I own my own company and am self-employed. So I give her my phone number, as in my boss, she called it. As my phone rang after the number was called, I said, excuse me please, I need to take this, then went into the back door and answered. How she was on the phone was priceless. MS.B. Hello, I would like to file and complain against, insert my name here. He did not wear a mask in the shop and refused to let my buy 100 apples. I would like him fired now. Me, I'm sorry ma'am, we don't sell groceries at, insert my company name here, you must have gotten and mix up. MS.B. But your employee gave me this number, you liar. Now as an apology give me my 100 apples free of charge. Me, as I said, we don't sell groceries, the number is either have been in mix-up, or you typed the wrong number. Hangs up. After that I went back outside telling her I was finished. After that she told me my boss was useless, and she wanted the store manager. I told her I did not work here. She didn't believe me and wanted the manager. My friend gets up and she start arguing about how I was a terrible employee, and that he should be fired and sent to jail. And after he refused to do anything, and he said that I was just a friend, and helped him out, and we lived in the same household. She calls the police. I say they're with my friend, not making an attempt to escape. Once the police came, she told them that she was sexually harassed her, and should be arrested. Guess she didn't see the security cameras, and my friend showed the police officer the footage, and we were clear in MS. B now demanded my friend's boss, and I gave him his number. Then he said he had to go to the bathroom in the back, and went away, and she called my friend, aka his boss. He picked up. She tried the same thing then on me, just that he said that they don't sell groceries in quantities of over 15 per person a day. Then she also went on and rant about both of us should be fired. He said no, and explained that one of the people she was complaining about did not work here and just helped him out, and that he was the cashier. She got kicked out shortly after, and we had a long laugh about it.